Welcome to the Low Country, a big Saturday night match in the championship. Tonight's match between Hartford Athletic and the Charleston Battery, presented by MUSC Health, the Medical University of South Carolina, the state's flagship hospital and medical university, as well as the leading academic health system and research institution in South Carolina. Big crowd anticipated, and with Jeff Fattinella, Mike Watts, take a look at the Week 9 Eastern Conference standings. And coming into the weekend, Hartford, despite a difficult start, only 2 points beneath the playoff line at the bottom of the East. Meanwhile, Charleston, 12 points, but a game in hand. They've got Loudoun, Louisville, and Detroit still very much in their sights. Now, Jeff, it's an interesting moment when you contemplate where Charleston's at. Jägermeister Cup lost to Naples. Open Cup coming, and a win against Indy in their last league game. It's a lot to contemplate.
It is. There's a lot of different competitions going on, and for this team, they have to adjust to the different rules and the different things, especially when you're talking about the Jägermeister Cup. When you're talking about league play, MD Myers scored a brace in this one, and it was a solid all-around performance where they were able to get this win 3-1 against a good Indy 11 team. And despite that loss against Naples, this is a result that they're going to try and carry over. When we're looking at the slate ahead, there are 4 games in 3 competitions. We just spoke on it. They had that win against Indy 11. They dropped that game to Naples 1-0 in the Jägermeister Cup. Today, of course, they're at home versus Hartford, and then it's the U.S. Open Cup. They are playing against D.C. So there's a lot of different competitions going on, a lot for the coach to have to navigate, and a lot of different things for this team to look forward to.
So all eyes on Charleston this coming week. All the while, Rubio Rabin is now a part of the Battery and ready to go today. Izzy Sullivan breaks down her conversation with the Battery's newest signing. Rabin on how he's feeling going into tonight's match.
I had the chance to speak with forward Rubio Rabin before the match, and you can feel just how much tonight means to him. He's excited about the possibility of making his home debut right here at Patriots Point, and said that every day he spends in Charleston, whether at training sessions with the Battery or simply adjusting to the low country weather, which is very hot, is making him feel more and more at home. He also mentioned how meaningful it would be to see some Guatemalan fans in the stands tonight. Rabin is hungry to make an impact, and tonight could be the start of something special.
Terrific. Thank you, Izzy. How about we take a look at tonight's player to watch, presented by Fleet Feet. Aaron Malloy, center back.
That's a big one tonight, and he is dealing. The Charleston team is dealing with some injuries, so he is going to slot into that center back, a position that he's excited to play. He's excited for the opportunity, and when you can have a utilitarian player like Aaron Malloy, you know, you slot him in at center back and see what you could do.
Best midfielder in the league is going to try his hand at a new position. And that means he's going to have to deal with Mamadou Dieng. Easier said than done.
Yeah, how's this for a first assignment when you're sliding back into the center back spot? Dieng, a solid player. He had 11 goals on the season last year. He's a player that's going to need to get going for this Hartford team. As they are starting to turn around the slow start to the season, they need to see more goals on the scorecard, and Mamadou Dieng is just the guy to provide those goals.
Well, with Dieng and Galena, Hartford is going to look for their first ever point in 7 tries in Charleston, South Carolina. It's the Battery taking on Hartford. Got lineups and kickoff coming up next.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Dance like nobody's watching. Except when people are watching, like your roommate and the new boyfriend you forgot she was bringing over. Believe in yourself. But know your limits, because right before an interview really isn't the time to try being a hairstylist. Anything is possible. So yes, winning is possible. But so is not winning, which means sometimes the best way to play actually is to save some possibility for another day. The South Carolina Education Lottery, supporting better players and a better you.
Return to the field. Score the winning shot. Beat your personal record. Team up with MUSC Health Sports Medicine for all your sports-related injury care and rehabilitation. MUSC Health is the official sports medicine provider for your favorite local teams. From semi-pro athletes to weekend warriors, our sports medicine team provides state-of-the-art injury prevention, treatment, surgery, and rehabilitation for athletes of all ages. Go where the pros go. Schedule an appointment today.
Faith and Family Night here in Charleston at Patriots Point. Tonight's walkout is sponsored by The Ideal Life, the title sponsor for the Charleston Battery. Hartford Athletic just one win on the season, taking on the Battery. Here's a look at tonight's starting 11 presented by Mick Ultra. This is not a mistake. Malloy and Appanonu are the center backs. Garner is in goal.
There's a lot of changes here in the back line. As you spoke on it, Christian Garner gets the start in goal, but for me, it's all about these front four. Torres, Myers, Rodriguez, and Jennings. They are going to need to be productive today against a tough Hartford team defensively.
Conversely, take a look at the Hartford starting 11 under Brendan Burke. And when you've got Zhang and Engelina up front, and now the addition of Panayotu arriving from New England Revolution, and Cariaga's long-awaited debut, they are very dangerous.
They're very dangerous, and this is a team that is so dangerous in the counterattack when you're talking about these front four. Look for them to press high, press often, and they are going to be flying to the ball because that is what they like to do and try to catch you on the counter. So those four are going to be important all night long as they are going to try and test this Charleston defense.
Scarlett, Farrell, Deespay, as good a trio of center backs as you're going to find. You'll often find them playing in a three-back with Samadio working up that left-hand side. These two sides, a really interesting history in the grander scheme. There's Benjamin Meyer, who gets the unenviable job of trying to handle a match in which past meetings have seen at least 4 cards in each of the last 8 meetings. But Jeff, it was a first 15-minute bicycle kick from Nick Markenik that ended up being the winner as the #1 on SportsCenter Top 10. That is nearly a year ago to the day, a year ago yesterday, that match occurred. When we listen to Ben Pierman, he goes, this Hartford team, when they're on the road, they're extremely difficult to break down. And if you get caught in transition moments, they've got the talent up front to make you pay.
Well, they do a good job defensively of really setting that block and making sure that they do not allow passes through the middle. If you try to force a pass against this Hartford team, they're going to turn you over and try to be off and running. So on the flip side, if you're Charleston, it's all about valuing the ball, making sure that you're not trying to force, and when you're playing against a block team, trying to get the ball around them, moving the ball side to side, doing everything you can to get them to open up. But that's easier said than done for me sitting in the booth because this Hartford team plays very solid defensively.
We'll see if they're up to the task here tonight. And Benjamin Meyer just wants to know if anyone wants to take the ball off his hands. Panayotu, a brace and a red card in his club debut in Hartford's 2-0 Jägermeister Cup win over Portland Hearts of Pine last weekend. Set to get his first touch in the championship this year after being in the El Clamico Rivals locker room in Rhode Island at the end of last season, reaching the championship final. Panayotu over the ball. And here we go. Hotly anticipated, Charleston and Hartford matching up in the championship on this Saturday night. And Hartford getting out early and rolls it in to Garner. It's worth noting that the game plan in goal for Charleston in the grand scheme hasn't changed. Luis Zamudio did play last week in the cup match. That was all part of a grander plan, maybe in a universe in which there wasn't a personal event that took Zamudio out of the group here tonight. You would have seen Garner play that game and Zamudio come back into the 11 for this one, but made most sense for both sides as it comes over to Garner once more. And so he gets his first start in the championship this year after starting one game for Charleston on loan, 5-0 win against Indy 11 last season.
And anytime you're talking about a goalkeeper making his season debut, you do your best on the training grounds to replicate what games feel like, but there's nothing like the excitement and the adrenaline that pumps through you in one of these games. I know, especially for Garner, one of the things I used to love was getting that first touch. You make that first save, everything settles down a little bit, but you know, tonight it looks like it's a pretty windy night that's working with him as well. So a lot of different elements going on with this one. We were talking about the goalkeeper.
Wind is going to be coming in his direction in the first half. Time for tonight's MUSC injury report. No Archer and no Smith, which is why you see Aaron Malloy taking the ball at center back. Marlon Hairston was in question coming into the game, is not available for selection tonight for Hartford. Foul from Deespay.
Yeah, just a little bit too aggressive there from the center back, right through the back of Myers. And we're getting our first look at Malloy on the ball, not afraid to take that space, take it up to the midfield where somewhere he might be a little bit more comfortable.
Blasted from range by Torres and chipped out toward the halfway line. Got Jang centrally. Ball never got that far. Jagged effort from Makangila. And there's Emilio Icaza. It's funny, Aaron Malloy told his dad, I'm playing center back this week, and leave it to his dad to say something to the effect of, well, it's another chance for you to prove yourself, as if he hasn't been one of the best players in the championship these past few years. It's not often you see a player so selfless with all the injuries that Charleston has suffered, especially at center back. Coach, if you need me there, I'll give it a go.
I think it's a good opportunity for the player to have a little bit of fun with it as well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what the expectations are for him in this position, but you know, when you're talking about making that slide back to center back, you patrol the game a lot more from this position. You can see a little bit more of the entire field. He has been taking that space, though, pretty aggressively with the ball at his feet, so maybe feeling a little bit more comfortable sliding into that midfield spot, but I know it's early in this one, but he has touches on the ball, and so far so good.
And Hartford can kind of rope-a-dope you into a little bit of the false sense of confidence playing out of the back, and then when you're on a broken floor and give it away.
Yeah, it's something he's going to need to be careful of, because usually he's used to having that coverage behind him. But if he doesn't have that coverage and he turns the ball over, then it's going to be a lot of chasing.
Garner, not the best first touch. And that got out over the line. That's a corner.
Yeah, a little bit of nervy there from the goalkeeper. It's a back pass that he should be able to deal with pretty easily, but unfortunately he takes that touch, and you know, anytime you're dealing with wind, especially with a corner kick with that wind in your face or even at your back, it's going to do things to the ball. So good opportunity here for Hartford. Just want to see a little bit more composure from the goalkeeper. We talked about getting the first touch in, and when the first touch goes out for a corner kick, that's not what you're looking for.
This corner kick brought to you by the Pepper Law Firm, the official legal services provider of the Battery. Anderson sends the service, knotted down, gets over the line. Hartford has grabbed the lead less than 5 minutes into the game. Could you have written that any better?
Well, we just spoke about the wind in this game, and it has an impact on this corner kick. As we get a look at Jordan Scarlett, the goal scorer. The cross comes in, it's a dangerous cross. It's that initial flick, and Scarlett in the right place at the right time. Garner makes every effort here with an outstretched left arm, but it just sneaks over. It's that initial flick that really makes the difference, and that lack of marking. Again, we've talked about Malloy in the center back spot. That was his man on that corner kick, and Scarlett doing a good job of redirecting that ball and taking advantage of the early set piece opportunity, the wind conditions, and being at the right place at the right time.
Scarlett knew enough about it, able to guide it over the line. His first, dating back to his time in Tampa Bay in 2022. Missed practically all of 23 due to injury in Louisville. And last year started 26 games but did not contribute a goal. Ball clipped ahead by Cariaga, and Hartford's feeling it now. Engalina cuts back. Nishi Engalina touches over. Panayotu couldn't collect. Masu Landry. Toro Rodriguez. Landry sends it away.
Well, that's the ball we talk about with Hartford. It's that one ball that breaks all of those lines, and that's why for this one in the keys to the game, Hartford is going to be a team that is good in transitional moments, and that's what we saw in that initial ball. They break all the lines with one pass, and next thing you know, Engalina's off and running. And we talked about with the keys to the game for Charleston, Coach made a joke about it. They're going to need to score goals, and that is the key to this game. They're already down 1-0, so using that offensive side of the ball to get the ball in the back of the net.
Tonight's keys to the game presented by Cruise Subaru, the official automotive dealer of the Battery. Landry ripped off the ball. Anderson trying to sneak upfield. Cariaga is unable to get it to him. Ikaza helping Charleston break out off the right-hand side. And there's Langston Blackstock. Ikaza out beyond Juan David Torres. The numbers are actually fairly shocking when Hartford either scores first or concedes first. Hartford had failed to win their last 5 games when conceding first. That goes back to October the 19th. But a Brendan Burke coached Hartford side has never lost a game in which they scored the opening goal. You'd have to go back to September of 2023. Unfortunately for Hartford fans, that's only 12 occasions that they are unbeaten when scoring the opening goal.
Well, that really speaks to how well they played defensively, especially with a lead. We talked about the block that they like to sit in. If they're able to protect that lead with the way that they like to defend, getting the ball wide, making it very difficult to break down, that's probably what we're going to see today for the rest of this one. Maybe not as high-flying pressing as we thought now that they have the 1-0 lead, but a lot of what you're seeing right here. Organized block defending. Don't get the lines broken inside of the middle of the field. Force everything wide, and then you try to squeeze them defensively.
Landry. Torres. Launches forward. Jennings trying to spin. Drilled away by Jordan Scarlett.
A little bit of miscommunication there. I thought Siaha had a chance to come and grab it, and so did he, but Scarlett making the right decision here, just booting the ball out, clearing it out of danger, and allowing this Hartford team to get back into this block.
You were with the Rowdies before Jordan Scarlett when he was still at Red Bull 2. Is the timeline about right there?
I was.
Yeah. Jennings dropping back, and Torres couldn't combine. It was him, Evan Loro in goal, of course, Forrest Lasso, and Aaron Guillen starting something like 50 or 75 straight games as the back three and the goalkeeper that made the Rowdies one of the most impenetrable forces in the league for a number of years. Here's Landry extending down the line. Touching across, MD Myers trying to sniff it out. Allen trying to come up for it and knot it back into Malloy's path.
That was good build-up play there out wide. I thought Landry had a little bit more time if he wanted to take one more touch, pick his head up. Not too many runners in the box on that one for Charleston, but anytime you're going to get the ball wide against this Hartford team, you have to get these numbers in the box so you can try to crash and make the most of these crossing opportunities. By the way, I appreciate you think that I was close enough to the Rowdies in age for that group of, players.
It was the least I could do. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Don't tell me you were an NASL Rowdy.
I was an NASL Rowdy.
Well, the money was better. Here's Malloy. Upfield from Landry. Here's Arturo Rodriguez. Hits the gas, pumps the brakes, playing centrally. Torres didn't get that right. If you hit that sweetly, you have a chance to do something really special with it. When you don't, it's that.
Yeah, it's a difficult pass to hit one time. That ball's coming in with such pace. For Torres to be able to redirect it and get it on frame, he would have had to hit it exactly perfect. But because the ball was weighted so high, it skims off the side of his foot and goes out for that easy goal kick.
Lifted into space and runs all the way down to Garner. Hey, Battery matches are the perfect place to make lifelong memories with your friends and family. Your group of 10 or more can enjoy discounted tickets, exclusive on-field experiences, and private hospitality areas to catch the match. Visit charlestonbattery.com to learn more and plan a memorable night at Patriots Point. It's a memorable day, perhaps, here. Here's Torres, who can really lace it. Torres, Siaha. Another stop for Anthony Siaha, where much is anticipated from a shot-blocking perspective. He had a triple-digit season at Monterey Bay, and you would think with Hartford's high-flying ways, he'll be asked to put up similar numbers.
Yeah, Brendan Burke, very complimentary of his goalkeeper. He's had the ability to make big saves. Hartford, a team that has not given up many goals this year, but that's not because Siaha hasn't been tested. He's been able to make a couple saves to keep this team in the games. Coming off of back-to-back shutouts, you know that the confidence is going to be flying high right now.
Brendan Burke, his second season at the helm, sixth head coach for the club since 2019. Hoping to make a bit of history here. There are a handful of venues in the East in which Hartford is not won, but only two in which they've yet to garner even a point. North Carolina, who came back up from League One within the past 2 years, and then here in Charleston, where they have lost all 6 previous games. Landry is down and latching at that left leg after getting tied up with Panayotu, but really with the field beneath him more than anything.
Yeah, it looked like he might have got the top of his foot stepped on. You talk about the statistic that they haven't won in 6, but there's also the statistic that they haven't lost when they score the first goal. So
right.
Something's got to give here tonight.
Something's
got to give.
Injury stoppage was brought to you by MUSC Sports Health. And Landry still got a little awkward gait. Grab from behind.
Yeah, clear foul there by Myers. Not sure he really had to commit this one. They had a lot of numbers on the Charleston side of the ball there.
Angling inside, couple options, including Anderson working off the backside, unmarked. There's the cross through. Header by Malloy. Zhang was the target. Into space, Farrell.
You called it. Anderson on this far side, wide open in the build-up his play as well. Something that they need to take a look at. Pick your head up, get that ball out wide, nothing but space in front of you, and even on the backside of that cross.
I called it. No, I looked over at my goalkeeper in the booth, and you're gesturing, which, to be fair, is what Garner should probably be doing. Rodriguez, Torres, slips through for Jennings. Ball bounces off the deflection past Myers.
It's a great bit of defending there from Despay. That ball looked like it had eyes for Jennings. A good run on the outside shoulder of the defender. They're doing a good job with that sliding challenge. Keep that ball out from breaking that back defensive line.
Jordan Scarlett in the 5th minute of play, giving Hartford the lead. We've gone a quarter hour this afternoon in the Low Country. Landry, that won't play. Anderson. Apononu spent some time on loan from FC Cincinnati to Hartford. And really the final available center back for them. Pressed into service quite a bit to start the year. Panayotu comes for it. He got a lot of the play on. Rodriguez, that's denied, and Emilio Acosta just got flattened.
Yeah, I'm surprised the ref must have missed that one. I think he was facing the ball play, but something really challenging there after the challenge. Might have been worthy of a yellow card.
Let's not get into Panayotu and picking up yellow cards. It is early in his tenure. Sent off for 2 yellows in the game against Portland Hearts of Pine. It's worth noting, of course, the Jägermeister Cup games totally separate in terms of suspensions for in-game red cards. as well as statistics.
We're getting a good look at what Hartford likes to force the opposing teams to do, and that's get that ball out wide. They try to squeeze you out wide, sandwich you into those corners up against those lines, throw those numbers so that they can overload you. And on the flip side, if you're a team like Charleston trying to break down this build-up, it's all about moving this ball from side to side. Try to get this block to open up as much as you can. Once you have that opportunity where the block opens up, flash somebody in the middle, 1-2, bounce it off of them, and start sending those runners up a little bit higher up the field. Easier said than done, but if you're Charleston, that's what we're looking to do to try to break down this Hartford defense.
Rodriguez, the frustration starting to bubble a bit. And Rodriguez, like a bat out of somewhere, running at Farrell.
Yeah, very frustrated.
Yeah, he was looking for his pound of flesh, I think.
Yeah, very frustrated with a no foul call. It looked like he was tugged down from behind. Referee saw it a different way. I definitely thought he was coming in for a hard challenge, but ended up doing a good job of restraining himself and winning the ball. That one's definitely a foul. Jang drugged down there. Easy one for the referee.
Is this the point where if you're a referee, you say, hey, everybody, enough?
I think so. There's a little bit of frustration, foul as well. So as you say, you get in the conversation with Rodriguez right on cue. You can tell he was upset, but just making sure that you always control the game as best as you can as a referee and don't let things get out of hand.
Yeah, it's a conversation now and a card on the next iffy challenge that probably puts that genie back in the bottle. Otherwise, we'll look back and say this is where Pandora's box opened. Jang catching Ikasa. And that's not a great example of said foul. If he gets a yellow for that, that's harsh. That's simply him trying to press. It's sort of these a hair laid, a little extra physical. I mean, that's just him going into a pressing action with a little bit of vigor. There's nothing wrong there.
I thought that he might have gotten a conversation, though, because he was just a player that had the foul committed on him as well. But, you know, the referee, we couldn't see him, so he might have been a little bit too far away to want to have that conversation.
Sent away by Christian Garner, who spent most of last year in Greenville.
These moments of transition for Charleston, they're doing a good job of getting that ball behind that back line, but they just don't have the numbers in the box right now. They need to get these numbers, maybe late midfield runners, just a little bit more numbers in the box so that there's somebody to be there on the receiving end of these crosses.
Landry, stiff arm on Anderson, sends the cross. Farrell. That is a strong-willed header out of play. Which is the only kind of header that Joey Farrell knows. Not a weak-willed dude. We don't track most stitches accumulated in a USL career, but I'd imagine Farrell's probably in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's a new one that should be tracked.
Yeah. Landry ahead. Header skipping through. Torres wasn't going to get there, neither Myers. Casa, header Jennings.
A little bit far out for a header of that, but for a player like Cal Jennings, why not give it a go? Does a good job. It's a hard ball that comes in all the way on top of the box, doing a great job of redirecting it even as close as he did to the goal mouth. And this is a player that's going to need to step up in this game today. He hasn't been on the ball too much. That's what Hartford does a good job of, making sure that they're not able to get the ball into him. But for a player like Jennings, he's a player that needs to go and find the ball when the ball isn't coming to him. He knows that he's a difference maker in this game, so I'd like to see him drop in and try to receive that ball a little bit more so we can get him involved in this one.
This struck from distance, grabbed like Garner with ease. Yeah, Cal Jennings, I think Charleston fans knew it in Tampa Bay because he victimized pretty much everybody in his 2-year stint there. Scored 35 goals. But he's got 5 in his first 6 games. They've added even more competition up front with the new addition of Guatemalan international Rubio Rabin, who can come off the bench. Had a great season at San Diego Loyal a couple of years back. Was in Liga MX at Querétaro last year on loan from RSL. Skip header through, plenty of contact in the box. That is a penalty. And Charleston's going to the spot. It's Jordan Scarlett getting tied up. Scarlett, who scored the goal for Hartford on one end, concedes the penalty on the other, suffers the indignity of a yellow card as well.
And this was a no-doubter here from the referee with this call. Ball comes in, chipped in over the top. It's a good run. Scarlett is just a little bit behind his midfield runner, and Myers gets that left leg in, brings down Myers. Anytime it's a challenge like this from behind, tripped up, easy foul call for the referee, no doubt penalty, receives the yellow card, and Charleston with the PK opportunity here to tie it up. Scarlett doing a good job of scoring that goal early in this one, but unfortunately for the defender, gives up the penalty, and now it'll be up to Siaha to try to keep the score where it is.
You can see Brendan Burke offering thoughts on what had occurred previously on the other end and arguing for balance. Ultimately, it is a Scarlett foul that leads to Jennings at the spot. 5 goals in 6 games. Marcanic level scoring right off the bat. Siaha's in goal, a looming presence. Jennings scores! And we are level at 1 as Cal Jennings continues his dream start in the Low Country. That Battery goal brought to you by Diamonds Direct, the official jeweler of the Battery. And it's 1 apiece halfway through the first half.
As cool as you like Cal Jennings, and it's all in this run-up. The way that he moves his hips from side to side to distract the goalkeeper, takes that aggressive that first step. He looks like he's going to close his hip. That's why Siaha decides to dive to his right, but at the last second, he opens it up and calmly places it. 6th goal of the season. And if you're this Charleston team, you have to be happy with what you're getting from this man early in this season.
16 goals a year ago, 19 the year before that. He was college soccer's leading scorer back in 2018 at Central Florida before being drafted by LAFC, spending time in Memphis. I've got that twisted. He was drafted by Dallas, didn't sign, went to Memphis, then LAFC. In that time was loaned to Vegas and then signed in Tampa Bay. Service through, bounces out, Torres! Torres! Charleston has found their groove.
Getting themselves into a bit of a rhythm. Torres not afraid to shoot this ball from deep. He's had 2 or 3 of these out there ready. He tests Siaha. It's just that close of the hip. A lot of times when you open up your hip like that, the goalkeeper thinks you're going to your right, but instead he whips it close, almost gets it to that near post, forcing Siaha into that big dive. And you talked about it, Charleston taking advantage of the momentum that they got from that penalty kick. I thought that they were slowly building into this one. They get that goal, and now look at them pressing, flying, not getting Hartford the opportunity to get into that block that they like to play so much.
Jennings with the counter press took it away. And the hold-up play sees it back into Battery possession. Battery 6 points off the top of the Eastern Conference, but a game in hand. Ball down the line for Josu Landry. Out to touch.
One of those weird things about soccer is sometimes when you score an early goal, it throws off the way that you were thinking about approaching to your game. Hartford's a team that they like to press a little bit higher up the field and really try to get in those transitional moments, but because they scored that early goal, now they're sitting back a little bit more than you're used to seeing. Maybe they can get back into this rhythm. Now it's 1-1. Will they open up and start pressing a little bit more? Go back to that game plan where they want to squeeze you a little bit higher up the field. Because if you're Hartford right now, you need to try and get yourself out of this block and try to start developing some type of rhythm into this game instead of just constantly defending.
Here's Ikaza. Hartford indeed drops into that block. Between lines, leading from Allen. Soro Rodriguez. Arriving on the backside, Langston Blackstock. Downshifts Torres, now Malloy. Comfortable taking that midfield space he typically patrols. Landry crashes into Anderson. It's worth noting, we talk about Archer being unavailable in this game. That's a substantial injury, no doubt. Graham Smith, Defender of the Year in the league last season, be out for a little while longer. Nate Dos Santos probably would have been the next guy you'd throw in at center back. He's dealing with a knock, available off the bench. You have to think about Tuesday night, too. You've got DC United. Calling it a derby match outside the league might be a marginal stretch, but history has tied the two together for the last 25 years. You know that there's a little added juice. Ball coughed up. Allen through. Jennings. Feigns. Jennings. Knocks it back. And hit hard frame wide. That did take a deflection on the shot from Emilio Ikaza. Corner.
Hartford dodges one here with sloppy play in the back. As we get another look at it here, the ball comes in. Easy turnover. Cal Jennings makes a quick run. It's a good slip ball through. Good transitional defending here from Scarlett, making sure that he gets himself in front of Jennings, and then an even better challenge here as we saw a shot that looked like it was going to test Yaha. He does a good job of making sure he moves his feet, but a good block there and good transitional defense from Hartford, but you need to clean up that bit of sloppy play.
That's another Pepper Law Firm corner kick for the Battery. Ikaza, Blackstock, Malloy calling for it instead. Through Ikaza, back outside. Really patient and in tight quarters too. Now Ikaza. Ball ricochets to the top of the area. Jennings unloads. That Karam's back. And now is it off to the races for Hartford. This will drag Zhang over. When Hartford really got going last year, Brendan Burke acknowledged maybe his biggest regret was not putting Zhang in the 9 earlier in the season and having him get a run of starts. They were trying to get him acclimated. And once he came into the 11 and started scoring, Hartford really came alive to the point that they were alive for the playoffs on the last night of the regular season, which outside of the 2020 campaign under Roddy Jaidi has never happened for a Hartford team that spent far more years way outside the playoff picture than in the mix. Cariaga, that'll run back to Malloy. Hartford just feels like a powder keg a little bit. There's enough there. You get a couple of wins here. You're out of the Open Cup. You can focus up on this game and maybe catch Charleston, who have to play again on Tuesday night.
Well, their record isn't really indicating exactly how they've played this season. They've given up tight games, set piece goals, but the in-game play, they've been finding a little bit of rhythm as of recently, and they're a difficult team to play against because they're tough to break down. And we talk about Zhang and what he brings to the transitional moments. When you have a body that big, a player with that size and speed, you need to be aware of where he is at all moments on the field. These transitional teams, if you're defending well and you're able to play those balls to those forward up top, powder keg is the exact way you describe it, because it waits, transitional ball, and then they're off and running. A team with a lot of talented players, a good plan of attack, and just trying to find that rhythm coming off those 2 wins.
This will run all the way down. As for the Battery, they go to DC on Tuesday. Then they'll take on the Rowdies in St. Pete next weekend. Battery are back in action here at Patriots Point on Saturday, May 17th. It is Military Appreciation Night. Tickets for that match are on sale now via SeatGeek, the official ticket provider of the Battery. Get yours now. San Antonio, who started 4-0 this season, but a mixed bag the last couple of weeks. Could be ripe for the picking that night. Although, I mean, what a crazy game they played 10 days ago against Colorado Springs. Trailed that game 2-0 at home going into half. Scored 3 unanswered. Maybe San Antonio on the right side of the ledger in a better place. Card here for that tackle by Macangila. Second card issued in the game. Jordan's scarlet in the book.
I think there's a little bit of frustration building from this Hartford team in this one as the challenges are getting a little bit later. A little bit of retaliation here for the foul that they thought they had against them, but Charleston doing such a good job of pinning this Hartford team back that anytime that you're a team that likes to defend a little bit higher up the field, when you're defending this much and the ball is getting moved side to side, it's a lot of running, it's a lot of movement, and then that frustration starts to build and build and build because you don't have that type of rhythm. So credit to Charleston for frustrating this Hartford team, drawing that type of foul, drawing this type of opportunity on a set piece. Let's see what they can make of it.
No one in the league you'd rather have over the ball right here
than your center back.
Yeah, that's right. Malloy through Allen. Pro lift free kick is a short one, and ultimately doesn't create much. They don't have sort of those towering presences that they typically have coming up from center back on set pieces in this game, and perhaps that's part of the reason they concede on a set piece earlier to Hartford, or in the penalty area as they did. One of 2 games ongoing in the championship right now. Rhode Island opening up their new stadium against San Antonio in Pawtucket. I've been told the W is silent for the locals up there. It's not Pawtucket, it's Pawtucket.
I've been saying that wrong pretty much my entire life.
Well,
Pawtucket.
They raised the old minor league baseball stadium and put in this soccer stadium because the Red Sox AAA affiliate went to Worcester, Massachusetts. So now they're the Woo Sox, but they used to be the Paw Sox. They weren't the Paw Sox. Or maybe they were and we just all got it wrong.
2 pretty good minor league baseball names, though.
No kidding. Torres.
Torres is not afraid to take a shot from distance.
That is not a new phenomenon either.
We've seen 3 or 4 of them now from about 30, 35 yards out. Not afraid to have it go.
I know that was a deep dive into the nomenclature here. You find out new things every day, and with them opening the new venue, it's been brought to my attention that I've been one letter wrong in the pronunciation for a long time.
Well, knowledge is power.
Yeah,
so
that's
you're providing knowledge.
Yeah, something like that. Here's Siaha, put under so much pressure back there. This is a really awkward build for Hartford, and if they can get out, they would have had a chance to do something with it. Instead, Kaza sees this deflect into the path of Scarlett, and Charleston slinks back into shape. At all surprised by how high that line was from Charleston, because they're basically playing right at the halfway line against Mishi and Galena and Mamadou Zhang. Easier said than done.
They're playing like the midfield roles there. But both of the forwards, the reason that they're able to do that, both those forwards check back to the ball. These 2 need to be on the same page. One checks to the ball, tries to draw that center back, while the other forward's making that run in behind. So just more options from these Hartford front 2. Try to get yourselves in behind, especially when you see that type of space. For a team like Hartford, they want to chip that ball into the back, but you're right in saying that high line is dangerous there for Charleston, especially with so much space between the center backs and the goalkeeper.
Gila just peeled himself up off the ground. comes Torres, who just entered shooting range. Wide, Blackstock, that got knocked back. Kaza tracking. Cross field, Arturo Rodriguez going 1v1. Apanonu. I remember talking to Pat Noonan in Cincinnati about Apanonu. Said it's a consistency thing. We know what his top level is. Good chance for him to develop that here. Ball turned to Hartford. There's Panayiotou. Whisked away by Landry.
And that's good transitional defense there from Charleston. It looked like Ingalina had that space in behind. He had his two forwards making those runs, but making sure that Charleston's able to get those numbers behind the ball and eliminate that counter-attacking opportunity.
Rodriguez spots the run of Torres. Torres! Now he hits pay dirt from distance. Juan David Torres puts the Battery ahead.
And that is why, when you're a player like Torres, don't be afraid to shoot the ball. We saw this earlier in the game as well. It's all about this first touch and setting himself up. And look at the way he opens up his hips initially. He opens up his hips. That's why Siaha is frozen as the goalkeeper. And then he closes them shut. You look like you're going far post. I'm going to open up my hips, try to place this far post. Nope, I'm closing them, and I'm going to bury it with pace to the near post. Excellent finish there from Torres. Had the goalkeeper absolutely frozen with that hip movement. And you have to give Charleston a lot of credit for the way that they've been able to respond in this one after going down 1-0 early.
That Battery goal brought to you by Diamonds Direct, the official jeweler of the Battery. Flags up, drums beating again, and after conceding in the 5th minute, Charleston has turned the whole thing around, and Hartford's house of nightmares remains intact. They've never gotten a point in 6 tries here previously, and now after the early lead, they have fallen behind late in the first half. Second of the year for Juan David Torres. Does that mean he has a green light the rest of the night?
I think so. To be fair, that one was only from about 19, 20 out. His other shots were from 30 plus. But we saw that earlier. He likes to open up that hip and close it tight. And anytime that you're able to hit a ball like that with pace for a goalkeeper, those are some of the hardest things to deal with. You think that you're going to have to make that save to your right. He closes it late. You get yourself a little bit off balance, and then you're frozen and you can't react to the shot.
Do you think the lesson he learned is keep shooting from range, or that he should get 10 yards closer before he goes? We're going to find out, I think.
You know, I don't think he learned any lesson from that. I think he's just going to do what
he
feels like doing when it comes to shooting the ball.
One of the most electric archers in the league, as opposed to Leland Archer, which is more brute force. Although he's scored some goals over the years that I think would make Torres blush. 40 minutes gone here, and Charleston ahead of Hartford, trying to pull within 3 points to the top of the Eastern Conference. Hartford, with that early lead, would have been right on the cusp of the 8th position in the East, albeit we're sitting right around the quarter pole of the season.
Well, it's Charleston group doing a good job of executing the game plan, being good in these transitional moments defensively, and just pinning this Hartford team back. They gradually move the ball up the field, make this back line sit deeper and deeper, and then that's when you have the opportunity to get those movements along. You get those shots a little bit more from distance, but great execution here from Charleston when you're talking about how to play against a team like Hartford.
Elsewhere, Rhode Island and San Antonio still looking for that first goal at the new venue in Pawtucket. It's a foul at the halfway line. MD Myers got dumped.
And again, just a little bit of a frustration foul, I think, here from Hartford.
By the way, that game in Rhode Island, the governor of Rhode Island took his wife to the game to celebrate their anniversary. That's an odd ticket to procure for that. You'd think dinner would have sufficed, but went that route.
Well,
hopefully they're having a good time.
Anytime you're opening a stadium in your state, you have to be there for that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hope he cut a piece of a ribbon at some point.
Or let his wife cut some of the ribbon
Yeah.
for that anniversary.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Here are my scissors. Forward for Jennings. Slip beneath Torres. Just a brief talking to. There's Malloy. Rodriguez. If you spot Landry on the other side, it could be a real danger, but not enough space to get the ball away. Back heel. Didn't play. And a free kick to the Battery.
I feel like this has been the picture of the game for the last 10 minutes or so. Hartford having to sit so deep.
And you know you're going to have to suffer when you go to Charleston a little bit.
Absolutely, but I would like to see them. The game plan for them was to try and press, try to get themselves higher up the field. And you have to give Charleston credit for the way that they've been able to pin them back, but I'd like to see them open up a little bit more. Don't be afraid to take a little bit more risk. Try to get your back line up a little bit higher so you're not giving Charleston so much opportunity to get into this type of rhythm that they're in.
Allen. Torres. And you would think that's part of the conversation that'll eventually be had at halftime. You get that early goal, and it does take you out of that projected game plan, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, just be a little bit more aggressive in your press. When you're aggressive in your press, it allows you to also open up to those counter opportunities. But when you're pinned in like this, it makes it challenging to get those forwards. If you win the ball, it makes it challenging to get those forwards in quickly behind that back line the way that they like to do. So we're going to try to move this up the field as best as possible in the second half.
Malloy gave it away. Cariaga. Panayotu. Now you can start getting some numbers forward. Samadia. And that's how Charleston deals with Hartford. You had the awkward giveaway because Malloy is coming forward. That's a pass that a central midfielder gets away with, but a center back often doesn't. And everybody's committed to getting back. Rodriguez unable to quaff that out in front.
Numbers behind the ball. If you're trying to play against a team that likes to play in transition, how quickly can you get numbers behind the ball? And if that response is immediate and you're able to do it quickly, you take away what Hartford's favorite thing to do is.
Fourth official has indicated 3 minutes of MUSC Health Sports Medicine stoppage time. Runner coming off the right side, got by Angelina. You know, it was fun listening. You talk to enough opposing coaches when they see Hartford, and there's 100 different ways to speak about Mishi Angelina, but Pierman, I think, put it really well from the Charleston perspective. There are probably 5-6 players in the league where you sit down on a scouting report and go, that guy can ruin your night.
You just have to pay attention. It's that speed over the top. We almost got a good look at it there. The ball just carried a little bit too long, but not much going for the Hartford attack. Nothing wrong with just putting that ball in over the top to Ngalina, trying to give him the opportunity to run into that space behind. You have to know where he's at all moments on the field, because once he puts his head down and takes off and starts running like that, if you're not tuned in, if you're not locked into it, it'll be that ball and over the top.
As a goalkeeper, that I imagine changes your positioning in terms of how that space is occupied by not only your center backs, but how you dictate that space.
You're just always aware.
Yeah.
You're always aware. You have your eye on it. If it's on that back shoulder, you know when he's making that run. Maybe you can shift yourself a little bit to cover that space. But even if it's not from the goalkeeper, it's just that constant communication that you need to have with your back line. If you see him open, if you see him making that run, making sure you're calling that outside back, making sure you're calling that center back, making them aware at all times. And if you do see that through ball, start yourself a little bit higher off your goal line, because if it does drift like that into your box, you'll be able to help your teammates out.
Anyone you remember from your playing days where it was like the first guy you circled on the scouting report, this guy is going to eat that space in behind?
That's a good question, man. I'm trying to think. So a player that I played with, a guy by the name of Robbie Finley, he was the exact way like that. You know, he was somebody that we knew when he would check in, and then he would check in to make that run over the top. It was almost automatic when you put that ball into space. So just somebody that's able to take that top off of the defense is just always such a weapon, because it gives you that outlet when the build-up play isn't working out the way that you want it to. And that's exactly what we're seeing from Hartford right now. The build-up's not working. Don't be afraid to put that ball in over the top.
We've gone the 3 minutes, and we have gone the first half. Dream start for Hartford, but it's all fallen apart since. Scarlett in the 5th, then Jennings from the spot in the 24th. Beats Anthony Siaha, Juan David Torres from about 20 yards out in the 38th. It's 2-1.
Give Charleston a lot of credit for the way that they responded to that early Hartford goal. They've done a good job of bouncing back into this one. It started with the PK here from Jennings, but doing a great job in possession, pinning this Hartford team back. Look for Hartford to make those adjustments and try to build themselves back into this game.
Coming up at halftime, we'll walk you through the schedule later tonight in the championship, and all the news and notes fit to print. Charleston falls behind early, but they show that champion's medal. It is 2-1 at halftime. Halftime score presented by The Ideal Life. We take a look at Faith and Family Night and a peek around the championship, all when we come back.
NRDNASC is a genomic screening research program. If we can identify a specific genetic factor that's involved, we can intensify the screening with an effort to prevent cancer and heart disease.
The NRDNA project is really a unique opportunity for individuals across the state to participate in genetic testing. That's another way to help provide data and research so we can learn more about the underlying causes of certain health conditions.
Declare your purpose at Charleston Southern University, offering a wide range of undergraduate degree programs, including majors like aeronautics, engineering, business, and education. CSU is committed to providing you with a biblical worldview and a cutting-edge education. The campus experience includes Division I athletics, small class sizes, intramural sports, and more, all at the only Christian university in the Lowcountry of South Carolina. Join the Buccaneer family and apply today at charlestonsouthern.edu.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Back in the Low Country, Hartford and Charleston at halftime on this Saturday night. Faith and Family Night. Two integral parts of a team and of so many players' personal lives. Let's hear the team chaplain sit down with three Battery stars on what faith and family mean to them.
Hey Battery family, Joey Gorman here. I have the honor and privilege of serving the Charleston Battery as the team chaplain through Impact City FC. Faith and Family Night is coming up May 3rd, and have a couple guys here, Joey, Mark, Vigo, just talking about how faith and family have made an impact on you just as people and as players. If you could just explain how chaplaincy has affected you, has impacted you as a player, areas that you've appreciated through just having a chaplain around.
It's hard being away from your families, you know, stuff like that. And, it's easy to have a support system when you're home, and so I think just having someone that is there from that kind of area of your life and you're able to kind of lean on and, you know, be there for you through hard times, good times, I think it's very important.
Following up on Mark, I agree with what he said. It's a blessing to be here and just be surrounded by these people and have teammates and staff that support me along the way. Especially since I'm young, away from family, it's a new journey for me, for my career, and it's a blessing, especially with my faith.
This is I think the first time I've been on a pro team where I've had a chaplain. I think it's obviously, these guys said it, but it's good to have someone that you know is there to support you. Obviously, we're, like everyone's saying, we're far away from home. So that's been good just to talk to you about faith, talk to other people about faith, and honestly, it makes us more close. It makes us feel like a family. So,
what are some ways that you try and just actively live your faith out while playing?
Well, before the game, I always pray for myself and the team, and even the other team, that we're all protected and safe, because injuries can happen, and I just ask the Lord for our protection and the blessing so we can just keep playing and enjoying what we do. When I play soccer, I feel like God's given me these gifts, and I feel like I'm kind of returning the favor. Not returning the favor, but trying to, you know, show His glory just by giving my all, you know, enjoying myself. I feel like that's when I'm my most self, when I'm out there on the field, enjoying myself, you know, going as hard as I can. So I just feel like as long as I'm giving it my all and I kind of give the glory to Him, you know, I've kind of done my part per se.
Always praying for safety, right? You know, respecting the other team, and then just experiencing some of that joy out on the field, right? Utilizing the gifts and the talents that you've been given. You have the great opportunity to do that on a field in front of thousands of fans, so that's incredible. And keep up the good work, and we look forward to seeing you all out there May 3rd.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Whoa, termites can eat a pound of wood a day. 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 What's wrong, Daddy? Daddy? You okay?
Keep termites out of your home and your head with our premium guarantee that covers up to $250,000 in new termite damage. Before panic shows up, Terminix it.
Success doesn't come easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador Spiked Bebidas.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Welcome back. It is halftime between Hartford Athletic and the Charleston Battery. Mike Watts, Jeff Antonello back with you. How about we get you caught up with news and notes from around the USL Championship and, of course, very much beyond, because the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup continues with the round of 32 on CBS Sports Network, CBS Sports Golazo Network, and Paramount Plus on Tuesday and Wednesday, with 12 championship sides still alive. But I think the big news of the week, Jeff, has to be that Mark Briggs is back.
Birmingham is welcoming a new coach, and he is a familiar face in the USL. Mark Briggs is back at the helm in the USL, and he will be leading the charge for the Birmingham Legion side. A very experienced coach, a team that should be very excited about the appointment of this man.
And meanwhile, in Pawtucket, so much excitement about Rhode Island FC and their new 10,000-plus seat stadium, which opened here tonight. How about some scores to keep an eye on later this evening? In the Eastern Conference, Indy and Detroit always has a little extra juice to it. You could argue that with Mark Briggs coming into Legion, a very despondent Rowdies side is a decent opening mark for him.
Yeah, Rowdies team that hasn't started this season well. They went through some coaching challenges themselves today as an interim coach at the helm. So Mark Briggs getting the opportunity to go against a team that he is familiar with, but also a team that is struggling, so it could be a good start for him.
And then Phoenix and the reigning champion Colorado Springs, two of the last three champions in USL, matching up later this evening. You can see all these games on CBS Sports Golazo Network or ESPN Plus. It is halftime here in the Low Country between Hartford and Charleston. We get ready for the second half when we return.
Return to the field. Score the winning shot. Beat your personal record. Team up with MUSC Health Sports Medicine for all your sports-related injury care and rehabilitation. MUSC Health is the official sports medicine provider for your favorite local teams. From semi-pro athletes to weekend warriors, our sports medicine team provides state-of-the-art injury prevention, treatment, surgery, and rehabilitation for athletes of all ages. Go where the pros go. Schedule an appointment today.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Halftime presented by The Ideal Life. Charleston, the ideal response. 2 goals after an early Hartford marker. Like Watch Jeff Antonello, let's get you caught up with what's happened thus far with our first half highlights. And we begin just 5 minutes into action. These highlights presented by Publix.
Well, it was this early corner kick. The ball's whipped in. It's a good flick to the back post, and Scarlett's there. Right place, right time. Goalkeeper does a good job trying to get a hand to it, but it was just a little bit too late. And at that time, you really thought Hartford was going to find themselves in the game, but it was Charleston who responded. They've done such a good job of pinning him in. As we watch here, Myers, Scarlett, the goal scorer, brings him down in the box, and Jennings makes no mistake about it. It's that little hip wiggle that throws off the goalkeeper and ultimately opens his leg up. Ferries it in for a nice, easy goal, his 6th of the season. But then it was Charleston again here. They've done such a good job of controlling and dictating the pace of this game. And here we have a player who's been shooting the ball from deep all night. And look at the way that he just twerks his hips. It's that little bit of a shimmy here. He gets the ball. It's that positive first touch, opens up his hip, and then he closes it at the last second. Siaha could do absolutely nothing about that as Torres gives them the 2-1 lead. Credit Charleston for the way that they've been able to play tonight. You look at the difference in the shot total. The shots on target are similar, but the shot total is what I want to focus on, and look at those possession numbers. Hartford has not been able to sustain this possession. They're a team that likes to play that counter-attacking style, but Charleston is going to beat you by making sure that they just keep the ball into submission and force you all the way back, and that's what we saw in the first half. And those numbers are going to have to shift a little bit if you're Hartford and you want to get back into this game.
Your halftime stats are presented by Gildan, and Charleston will begin the second half with the advantage, 2-1. Meanwhile, a little calisthenics to get this Battery side ready for the second half. How about we take a quick peek at what's going on in Pawtucket, Rhode Island and San Antonio. First game in Centerville Bank history. Stadium looks fantastic, holds about 10,000. It was called the Tidewater Landing Project until it got its official name about a month ago. It is 0-0 there in the 85th minute with a capacity crowd in terms of ticketed folks there. Let's not forget, they're playing today, and then they host New England Revolution in, 4 days' time. They'll sell it out again.
Not a bad way to start opening up the stadium. And just a beautiful venue here, as you can see. Like a little bit of a transitional moment there.
Yeah, just so you know, the transition moment ended with a shot high and wide for San Antonio. It looked like for a second there we bolted right before the chance that could have been the first goal in that venue. So if you're Charleston, you talked about it, keep the ball out in front of you. Don't make the kind of mistake that gives Hartford a path back in. If you're Hartford, you're going to have to take some risk. That's the nature of falling behind the way you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Just step that back line a little bit higher, press those forwards higher up the field. And for them especially, you have to connect in these transitional moments. When you have the opportunity to get that ball in over the top, it's that second pass. You have to make sure that you connect that pass so that you can sustain a little bit more of that possession, because the possession numbers are so thrown off here, 70-30. They have to get on top of the ball just a little bit to build themselves into this game. So a few different problems that Hartford here needs to figure out, but for me it starts with stepping up a little bit higher, not being afraid to take a little bit more risk, and then just taking advantage of those transitional moments which we spoke on in the first half as well.
Torres with the go-ahead is set to send us into the second half of play this afternoon here in Charleston. It is a peach of a night here in Charleston, South Carolina. Sub at halftime for Hartford. Macangila was on a yellow card. They're going to get him out of the game here. Junior Morera comes in off the bench. First sub either way. And we are on to the second half here tonight, as the sun should be setting in a rather pristine and picturesque way. Great crowd. This is pretty majestic early May day, and Charleston trying to make the best of it. Ball chopped across to begin the second half and dealt with easily enough by Scarlett. Jeff Attinello alongside Mike Watts. Hartford trying to get out of the basement in the East. A win would put them right around the playoff line as we approach the quarter point of the season for pretty much everybody in the league. Charleston can move within 3 points of the top of the East. They entered the weekend 6 points back, but with a game in hand. Hartford, for what it's worth, had only played 5 league games as well. You'll often see Hartford and a handful of northern teams start a week or two after everybody else by choice to avoid some of those harsh winter months at the beginning of preseason and the kind of times that fans don't really care to sit in the brutal Connecticut early spring.
Fans and players alike.
Yeah.
I've played in some cold ones before. I actually took part in the coldest game in MLS history, and
Really?
I did. and it was not an enjoyable experience. It was fun in the way that it was very unique, and I could tell the story about it, but in terms of actually being out there on the field.
Ball chipped through, decent idea. Myers, angle tightened. Arturo Rodriguez comes back to the ball. Over to Torres.
He thought about it off the bounce.
You bet he did. And now Hartford the other way launches this. That's dealt with by Malloy. It must have felt like kicking a rock.
I mean, it was truly as miserable as you can imagine. It was a torrential snowstorm in Colorado, opening game of the season. You know, it was something where I was running around for a little bit trying to keep myself warm, but towards the end of the game, it just didn't even matter what I was doing. I was just standing there. People were asking me if I wanted blankets from the stands. I didn't know what that would look like, so I turned them down, but it was quite the experience for sure.
You never did the Tony Meola visor to evade the sun.
No, I wasn't. No, I never went full visor. Never went hat. I did that when I was a little bit younger, and Tony Meola was setting those trends. You know, when you're younger and you see Tony Meola doing something like that, you feel like you're going to be pretty cool when you're doing it, but never did it at the professional level.
At some point, I will have to tell Tony this in person, but he is not setting fashion trends anymore. Here's Ikaza. Well, he tried to go for that, and he's a little bit late to it and just absolutely hammered his leg into the shin of the Hartford defender. And that is an instance in which both sides lost.
Yeah, you can tell nothing intentional here, but just gets a little poke to it. And when that leg comes through, it's that shin-on-shin contact. You hope that they had their shin guards in the right spot, because that's something that's going to leave a little bit of a sting for the morning.
Yeah, Samadia, you can see that grimace as he walks away. It's worth noting, we spoke about the wind. It's not necessarily all that bad at field level, but if that ball gets elevated, the wind has been primarily going straight left to right. So Hartford attacking into the wind here in the second half. Ball lobbed across, header. Unable to get much really on that, Zhang. Samadia comes out, snares it.
It's a great opportunity there for Hartford. That's the player that you want in front of the box. He does a great job, Zhang, breaking off of that back shoulder of the defender, just unable to get that snap header down. That's the best look that Hartford's had since the goal that they scored early in this game.
Jennings upended by Scarlett, recovered by Ikaza. Torres has to wait on it. Jennings. Myers calling for it. There's the ball through. Siaha, the denial on MD Myers, who's had a pretty good scoring start of his own. He's got 3 goals in 3 games in the league after missing the first month.
I think this ultimately ended up being called offsides, but it's that good run behind the center back from Myers. But you have to give the Hartford back line a little bit of credit here. They step up at the right time. They see that run, leave him offside. But Siaha doing a good job, even though it was the call, doing a good job coming out, making himself big, and not giving Myers the opportunity to get that shot in on net.
You can see Myers in the clean kit tonight. Battery's brand new 2025 kit on sale in stadium now. Available online tomorrow, courtesy of Hummel, club's official jersey provider. Jennings looks like he runs twice the speed in those new kits, and he's able to keep this in at the end line. Across, Myers scoops it out of play. Just tell you can check out the full line of new battery gear, including new customizable 2025 kits. Shop.charlestonbattery.com. And here's Jennings modeling it for you.
Look at this effort here. Jennings doing a good job hunting the ball down. But if you're Hartford, you're down 2-1. The reactions need to be a little bit quicker than what we're seeing here. You can't allow a player like Jennings to make this play, beat you to the ball in this situation. Myers, the late runner. It just seems a little bit lethargic from a Hartford team that's in good rhythm. They've won 2 games in a row. I know that Charleston's doing a good job of pinning them back in right now, but that urgency needs to step up from this Hartford group.
Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out in your conversation with Brendan Burke was no one in the locker room thought we were far away. We were certainly in the mix, despite what looks like 1 win in 5 games in the league. So you get a couple positive results in a row in the Jaeger Cup to start off against Portland after the Cup set loss to that very Portland team. Then you get the win in the league, and all of a sudden you're brimming with confidence. Then you score early tonight, and you think you're probably double so. This will come with a card. Two players go sliding into one another.
Black Soccer coming together here. That hurts for both players as well. You have a helpless player on the ball right here. It's that late challenge. Two players trying to make a play on the ball. But you spoke on it. Hartford was a team that they lost results to start the season, but every game was close. A lot of set-piece goals, a lot of different opportunities, not from the run of play, a couple golazos that were scored against them, making the difference, and a team that's really starting to feel like they have their rhythm. They're healthier than they were to start the season. More player selection available for the coaching staff. But tonight, they knew that it was going to be a step up in challenge when you're playing against a team like Charleston on the road, and I think that they're going through a little bit of that experience right now.
That was an injury stoppage brought to you by MUSC Sports Health, and a free kick for Anderson. A little more convincing there. In toward Galena, never arrived. Malloy, so composed. Allen, knocked down.
Just these frustration fouls. We were seeing it towards the end of the first half. And another one here from Hartford. Charleston doing such a good job of moving that ball, making Hartford run around defensively. That's where you're seeing these frustration fouls all over the field.
Garner.
See, this is better from Hartford. Step your line up a little bit, press a little bit more.
Siaha, return to sender. Good work to get this out. Here comes Mishi and Galena. Former League Young Player of the Year. And Galena sending early. That is behind Panayiotou.
Galena does everything right. He takes advantage of the space. He hits it with speed. There are runners in the box for Hartford, but just the wrong decision on that ball. Try to drive that ball across the box. Let your forwards crash into it. Instead, he opts for the layback ball that there was nobody there to receive.
In Casa. Jennings is racing along that front line. Instead, Myers goes wide. Landry. Rodriguez. Torres. Chips that through. Somehow Landry appears on side and sends it home. Score it! Hosu Landry!
And it's Torres with this ball. But let me teach you a lesson here. If you're a defender that is watching this game, this is why you play to the whistle. The Hartford back line stands themselves up, expecting this to be an offsides call. And that's what allows Landry this opportunity. First off, it's a cheeky ball here from Torres, okay? Landry's out wide. He's doing a good job making that run in behind the defense. And it's this cheeky little chip that we see. But look at the stopping of play here from the Hartford defenders. Somebody needs to make a movement towards that ball, but instead they're putting their hand up, calling for the offsides, giving Landry the opportunity to go in 1v1 against the goalkeeper, and he makes absolutely no mistake about it.
That Battery goal is brought to you by Diamonds Direct, the official jeweler of the Battery. One goal for New Mexico a season ago. And the 24-year-old Ivorian, who's been just excellent. First goal for the Battery, and it's 3-1. Hey, let's take one more look here. Watch the defender at the bottom of your screen and Landry at the top of your screen. And we actually have a pretty decent line provided by the top of the 18. I think he's on.
He is on sides on this play. As we can see, the left back late to step with his center backs, and it's just that one extra step that he doesn't take. The timing of the run is perfect. That even line keeps Landry on sides. After getting a look at that, I can see why the center backs would have thought that was offsides, because if you're a center back, when you step like that, you expect your outside backs to be even a little bit higher than you are. Instead, the outside back is trailing, keeps that runner on sides, and that flick from Torres is just cheeky enough, and the timing is perfect that allows Landry to run onto it.
And the other side of this is every player in this league knows there's no VAR. You know you're not going to be saved by that, so go to the whistle anyways.
Play to the whistle. I spoke on it a little bit earlier on that Cal Jennings slide tackle in the corner. The response from Hartford, the urgency hasn't been there tonight. Anytime as a defender you stick your hand up, you're waiting for the offsides call. I understand it. A lot of people have done it before, but even if you're putting your hand up, you need to make those movements to the ball, because what if you don't get the call? You have a situation where Landry's in 1v1 with the goalkeeper and you're standing there, just watch it.
The score has gone final in Pawtucket. The first game at home for Rhode Island FC at their beautiful new stadium, Centerville Bank Stadium. It's finished 0-0 with San Antonio in front of a capacity crowd. Sub coming here for Hartford. Obalola coming in off the bench. Notably no Marlon Hairston tonight. It's questionable coming into the game. And it is Jack Panayiotou who comes out. Didn't have quite the encore after the brace in the Jägermeister Cup last weekend.
We're just not having much joy trying to find the ball. He's a player that wants to have the ball. He's so important in those transitional moments. But because of that transitional defense from Charleston, not able to find that rhythm that you're used to seeing. See if the substitute can bring a little bit more energy to this game.
Turned over by Cariaga Torres.
Now that was a little bit too ambitious.
That was a pass to Jennings, right?
We've been talking about the shots from distance from Torres. He scored an absolute golazo for the second one. But I will say, I think that we have finally found where it's a little bit too far to be hitting that type of shot.
No way, no way. Easy. We've seen some half-field goals in this league, don't get me wrong, but they're usually not on the half turn.
I mean, not afraid to let it rip, that's for sure.
Well, this might ask a question or two for Hartford. Ball dropped off. Contact in the area, that's a penalty. And Hartford very much alive. That is Ikaza, a foot inside the penalty area, catching Anderson. And Hartford Athletic is going to stride to the spot and try and pull this back within a goal.
Just like that, Hartford is back in this game, and we spoke about it in Galena. He's so difficult in transition, and Anderson, it's this little touch here, that backwards ball there. Not much that Ikaza could do. He sticks his foot out, expecting him to take that touch forward, but instead, it's a touch in the opposite direction. He's headed away from the goal, and that's what's going to kill Charleston on this one. Anytime it's a touch that's away from the goal, it's this one here. Away from the goal, late foot, feels that trip. Definitely makes a little bit of a meal of it, but there was contact, so it's smart from the player to hit the deck the way that he did. And now Hartford completely against the run of play with an opportunity to find themselves right back into this game.
Well, Ikaza can't quite believe it, but that now pales in comparison to the chance Christian Garner has. Penalty save to stay alive
in the Open Cup match a couple weeks ago. Will face off with Mishi and Galina, the outstanding Hartford striker. Engelina strides forward. Engelina scores, got it just by Garner. And Hartford has pulled one back, and there is plenty of time, another half hour to go in the Low Country.
Engelina with the trickiest of run-ups on this one. It's stutter step, it's stutter step, it's stutter step. At the last second, he opens up his hip. Credit the goalkeeper, Garner. He tries to wait as long as he can, but Engelina hits it with just enough power after he opens up that hip where the goalkeeper, Garner, just can't react to it fast enough. As a goalkeeper, when you're seeing those stutter steps, you try to hold as long as you can, but if the ball's hit with power the way that Engelina did, it's going to be tough to save.
Congolese player who came to the States back in 2018 at Bethlehem Steel under Brendan Burke. Ended up moving to Colorado Springs with Burke after time in Turkey and Norway. Was the 2022 Young Player of the Year before a significant transfer out of the Switchbacks. And then the first target really for Hartford. Jennings, right place, right time. Continues, angle was tight. Siaha guards that near post. So a quick counterpunch from Charleston a la the first half.
Jennings taking advantage of another defensive miscue here from Hartford. It was, you see this ball comes in. Missed clearance there. Jennings, I think he takes one extra touch. You called it. The angle's a little bit tight. You have to give Siaha credit for holding that near post. There's a cheeky little shot there from Jennings. Tries to look him off. Sneak that ball into the near post, but you called it just a little too far. Hits that shot one touch before he has the whole goal to look at. Siaha's not able to close that near post the way that he did. But again, it's another positive restart from Charleston after a Hartford goal.
The Pepper Law Firm corner for the Battery. Torres swinging in, it's over the line! Charleston gets one right back, and what a goal it is! Wow, Juan David Torres!
And he will shoot from anywhere. We have talked about it all game long. Not afraid to shoot the ball is Torres, and it's that dangerous left foot, and look at the reaction. Just a shrug of the shoulders here, and he puts this ball in. Siaha, the goalkeeper, makes a mistake on this one. He tries to attack the ball, misreads it. The jump is a little bit too late, and by the time they know what hit him, the ball is in the back of the net, straight from the corner flag. 2 goals on the night for Torres. Shots from distance, shot from the corner flag. That left foot is going to be talked about all week long.
And that is probably your goal of the week.
I would think so.
There's a lot of games to come, but the Olympic goal from Torres, after he had already put forward a goal of the week contender back in the first half, and Hartford got with him one at the penalty spot, and less than 5 minutes later, see Torres off the corner make it 4-2. And can Hartford open this thing up? Ball lashed across and snagged by Garner.
Good bit of goalkeeping there from Garner. Hartford trying to respond to that ball, trying to respond to that Charleston goal. But we talked about it. The response from Charleston each time that they've given up a goal, they take the punch and they immediately counterpunch in this one. And now it's going to be up to Hartford. They're going to have to stretch this game a little bit more, open themselves up. Something that they don't love to do. They like to have this high press, but they're more comfortable in this block. This is a high-scoring game for a team like Hartford, not used to seeing this many goals hit the back of the net. So expect them to open themselves up, which should create opportunities on both sides here for the last 30 minutes or so of this one.
And if you're Charleston, back to where we were at halftime, right? Keep it in front of you.
Especially here with Hartford pressing, they just want to be able to break those lines and connect those passes. You don't want to have these turnovers. You don't want to play into Hartford's press. So as best as you can, try to break these lines with simple passes and keep possession of the ball.
Here comes a newcomer off the bench for Charleston Battery. Rubio Rabin will come on. Cal Jennings from the spot in the 24th minute. Wanted to take the road less traveled across the field. He's going to be gestured off at the opposite touchline. Jennings in the 24th minute, his 6th goal in 7 games for the Battery in the league.
Not a bad option coming off the bench for Jennings. We talk about a player like Rubio, talk about a 1-2 punch here down in Charleston.
And then Mark Segbers, who continues to work his way back from injury, will replace Emilio Icaza. Substitutions for the Battery brought to you by Publix. We love subs. The best place to get your favorite Publix subs and all your tailgating needs, Publix.com. Put me down for a buff chick sub.
I was going to say, what's your go-to pub sub?
Yeah, there's only one choice. Torres. You've scored in Olympico. You scored outside the box. What's the encore for a hat trick that Juan David Torres has in his brain right now?
I mean, it's got to be a bicycle, no?
Yeah, right.
It has to be a bicycle, I think.
Hartford fans are like, not like this, not again. That's how they fell here nearly a year ago to the day. It was May 4th, 2024. Nick Marcanic, bicycle kick, the lone goal between these teams inside 15 minutes. Like seen across America, is the #1 play on the SportsCenter top 10 the following day.
Or maybe one of those turnarounds from half field, quick shots will hit the back of the net for
Yeah,
him.
that's probably actually a little more apt for him, isn't it?
We talked about it in the first half as well with Hartford's first goal, that the wind is going to make a difference in this game. And that's exactly what you're talking about in that Torres Olympico goal.
Well, fans weren't shorted today. 6 goals now between the teams. Ball knocked down, but not a beneficial touch. Through the legs of Rabin. Over to Torres. Slides it across. Swept toward goal. Keeper's down. That caught a hand. Caught the hand of the Battery player. So MD Myers, the end of that, coming up, showing a lot of teeth. Didn't get a good feel for that. Also knocked as well with the handball. Battery are back in action here at Patriots Point on Saturday, May 17th. Celebrate Military Appreciation Night. 7:30 p.m. kickoff between Charleston and San Antonio. Tickets for that match are on sale now via SeatGeek, the official ticket provider of the Battery. Get yours now. Advantage played and blasted from range for Hartford. That is well wayward from Cariaga. Cariaga's number is, going to come up on the board. That was his last action here tonight. And Shane Beckford replaces the Hartford number 10. Third sub. That is their first window utilized. They made the changes at halftime, bring in Morera and Obalola. Juan David Torres had 15 goal contributions in 34 games last year. He had 4 through 6. Well, you add the 3 today, and he's right on a goal contribution a game level. He's probably player of the week in the championship with this performance.
He almost had another assist there to that ball to Myers.
Yeah.
He had him on his left foot, but he, instead of hitting that shot, he switched it across with his right foot. Great ball on the ground. Almost added to his day there. That's just a late challenge.
That's a free kick for sure.
See if Torres gets on this one. That would be a tough shot with the left foot, though. Let's see what they're thinking, but just a late challenge there from Hartford.
This free kick scoring opportunity is brought to you by ProLift Garage Doors. Look, most players are putting this in the mixer and seeing how it goes. Aaron Malloy is not most players.
It's not often that you see a center back come up and take a free kick in this position.
It's not the first time. No, it probably is the first time Aaron Malloy's ever had that commentary offered about him.
Had to throw it in there.
Aaron Malloy! He did not miss that by a lot. He really didn't.
No, Siaha looked like he had a decent read on it, but right there at the end, it seemed like it was going to tail into that far post. Especially, we talked about it. We got that wind blowing a little bit. This ball just whips in here. A little bit of I don't fault that from a player like Malloy. Try to find that far post. Wind blowing on a night like this. Don't be afraid to hit that ball.
Yeah, and look, Malloy's not playing in position, but I feel like it's a position so often where we see the free kicks, and that's great. But this whole thing ticks around him. And it was the same way in previous stops as well. Bad turnover. Laced from distance. Ricochets right to Myers. Rabin got denied, and it comes back to Siaha as gracefully as possible. Rubin just put a rocket on that ball. Lobbed forward the other way and ripped out of play by Zhang.
That's good back and forth action there. You said it. Rubin with an absolute rocket. Siaha doing a good job. He has in a good angle. Myers, it comes back to him just a little bit too hot, unable to gather that touch to redirect it into the net. But it was that 3v1 opportunity. Rubin opts to have that shot. Good save there from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Rubio Rubin, grew up in Beaverton, Oregon, moved to Florida, ended up going overseas to Utrecht, Norway, then Mexico at Tijuana, came across the border, 7 goals in just 5 games at San Diego Loyal. That got him to Real Salt Lake. Loaned to Querétaro. This was a guy who was the U.S. Soccer Young Player of the Year in 2012. Capped 7 times for the national team. And then the one-time switch to Guatemala, where he's managed 11 goals in 30 senior appearances. Tim Daniels, an assistant here in Charleston, actually was on the coaching staff in San Diego. Swept over Allen. Allen, it's fish in a barrel right now for Charleston. They are not satisfied with, dare I say, just 4.
Hartford players are hitting the deck as well. You can tell that they've been having to work so hard defensively. And Charleston keeping their foot on the gas, throwing numbers forward. Unfortunately, on that one, it doesn't come off, but not afraid to keep pressing in this one and searching for a 5th. I think for Hartford, this has been just a step up in play, a step up in the competition that they've been playing against as of recently. They're feeling good about the 2 wins they had, but they were well aware of what this game was going to present as far as the challenge of coming to Charleston and a team the quality that Charleston provides, and it's a little bit of a wake-up call for this Hartford club.
A little swipe from Beckford. He and Blackstock are becoming combatants. Hold up from Zhang. Battery matches, perfect place to make lifelong memories with your friends and family. Your group of 10 or more can enjoy discounted tickets. Ball swiped away from Beckford. 10 or more, not only discounted tickets, exclusive on-field experiences, and private hospitality areas. To catch the match, visit charlestonbattery.com to learn more and plan a memorable night at Patriots Point. 4 goals not guaranteed, but always nice when they're included. Hartford will go and host Detroit, then Louisville before a trip to Indy. The offside flag is up.
And we talked about this makeshift Charleston defense, bringing midfielders playing into this back line, but you have to give them credit for the performance that they've had tonight. This Hartford team, they like to play this counter-attacking style, but they've eliminated those opportunities. They've done a good job of organizing the line. You talk about a player like Malloy, having somebody back there that understands that leadership role. there are a lot of different things that could go on in that back line, especially when you're playing against a team that likes to play those diagonal through balls. The line might not be balanced. They might have one player who's standing a little bit far back, keeping players on sides, but everything's been extremely organized. They've been able to keep everything in front of them, and you have to give the players a lot of credit for stepping up and playing in unnatural positions, but being up to the task.
And they've done what it takes tonight. Now, is that going to be enough against a DC United team that on the whole this year has been a bit lackluster? We'll find out. That game on Tuesday is on Paramount Plus at Audi Field in DC.
But if nothing else, you know, this game will also give these players a little bit more confidence playing out of position.
There are going to be, as of right now, no real positional surprises. You may get some guys back, and it's a whole different argument, but if you're Aaron Malloy, at least you're not trying out center back for the first time again. Changes coming for Hartford. Kyle Edwards is in. TJ Prestis in as well. End of the night for Adrian Dees-Pay. And this is the final set of subs for Hartford. And Mamadou Zhang comes off in favor of a like-for-like sub for the St. Vincent and the Grenadines international, Kyle Edwards. So yeah, Hartford, Detroit and Louisville at home, teams in the top 4. Charleston at DC, then at Tampa Bay. They'll host San Antonio and then go to Detroit. Here's a couple changes. Johnny Klein coming in, his 7th appearance for the club. Kansas City native, spent last year at St. Louis City. Chris Allen is done. Douglas Martinez is into the game here for the Battery, so somehow even more of an attacking threat in off the bench. Really, it's more like Klein comes for Allen and Myers checks out for Martinez in reality. Public substitutions for the Battery. Great sub deserves another. Order your favorite Publix subs. Your next tailgate party at Publix.com. Lofted across into a dangerous area. It'll slip all the way through. Anderson intervenes. Blackstock, that's a foul. It is outside the area, though. Obalola saying surely that should be a card. It's a talking to. More importantly, it's just a free kick.
And it's all about this build-up in the touch here. Look at this, positive second touch. Baits him in with that one. Blackstock has no other option than to bring him down. And you have to give him credit, though. Smart place to do it. He sees that there's space in behind, but instead tugs on the jersey. Surprised he didn't get a yellow card there. Looked to be definitely a tactical foul, but instead it's a free kick in a dangerous spot. And you see if Hartford can keep this one interesting. It's about 10+ stoppage time to go.
And Garner's trying to cover his eyes. The sun is setting. Ball laced off of Battery player who does the job effectively enough. Yeah, the sun sets over that far grandstand. So makes it a little more difficult to deal with these set pieces off this side. Corner. Apononu.
And this is a little thing, but on that free kick, sending 3 players out, a lot of times from those wide areas, you'll see somebody send 2. That way you have those players that are able to cover on those crosses, but instead the goalkeeper opts to send 3, and it works out well for them. The wall ultimately ends up doing their job. So just those little tiny decisions of how many numbers you want to send out in a free kick, and in that situation, it pays off for the goalkeeper.
Beckford comes back. "81 minutes complete.
Hartford scored first. Charleston grabs a 2-1 lead going into the break. First goal out of halftime. Hartford responds at the spot, gets it to a 1-goal game again. Then a Torres Olympico. This game's had a little bit of everything. Long run for Prestis, that got away. He's part of Columbus Crew royalty a bit. His dad, great goalkeeper for the Crew, 2-time MLS Cup champion at Columbus and DC United. Mom was actually a captain of a SMU Final Four squad. 4-time All-Ivy League at Yale. His brother playing over for the Crew still. Leading touch down the line. There is no support in the middle. Now it's starting to join in. This overcooked. Yeah, credit Obalola. You can understand he's going for the ball. He doesn't want any of that smoke.
Yeah, no. Just again, just late to the play here. This Hartford team has been having to work so hard defensively. Just no numbers in the box for these opportunities when they are able to get in behind just a little bit. And that's what happens when you're forced to defend the way that Hartford's had to defend this entire game. When those moments of transition are the things that you're really looking for from an offensive side of the ball, you're tired. It's hard to defend all game long and then get yourself into the box when you have those moments and those different opportunities. So this is a Hartford team that, you know, there's still time in this one. If they get one back, it makes everything extremely interesting. 2-goal lead, there's still plenty of time for them to recover. But if they're not able to recover from this one, I think that you learn a lot from. This game if you're Hartford. When you're playing against a team like Charleston, you're not able to get on the ball. You're forced to defend it the way that they've been defending. What adjustments are you going to make so that you can get yourself back into the game and not have to defend in this fashion? For me, it's step up a little bit higher. Don't be afraid to leave those blocks. Make sure that you have a little bit more coverage from behind. Don't stay so tight in your block when it's forcing you to sit back, back, back. Make sure that you're able to step up, try to apply a little bit more pressure, and force Charleston into some type of turnover.
Scarlett. That's away from Klein. Now for a throw. Look, if you're Hartford, think back all the way to the 2023 championship final. Battery end up conceding late in stoppage time, go to extra time, fall in penalties. Think about their record at home since. A loss to Atlanta in the Open Cup last May. They lost the following game after playing 120 minutes 3 days prior against El Paso. They lost to Rhode Island in the playoffs last year, and they lost the season opener to Louisville City. They have lost 3 games in regulation at home in the last year and a half. Rodriguez comes off, Nate DeSantos comes in. That is the final sub tonight. Substitution for the Battery. Brought to you by Publix, the place for game day subs and all your tailgating needs. Publix.com. But if you're Hartford, there's literally no tougher place statistically in the league to have to go and try and get points than Charleston. This is the bar. So you get the early goal, and you're going to go away thinking we should have, could have, got something out of this. We haven't lost after scoring first since 2023. But this is a reminder of what the best in the league looks like. Charleston at home is that. Right there with your Louisville Cities, and this is it.
And you talked about it. You nailed it on the head there. When you score an early goal in a place that you are not expected to get a result, and you get that energy, they came out strong in this game. They came out pressing. They were on the front foot, exactly what the coach wanted to do in our conversations. They wanted to be on the front foot. They didn't want to be afraid to come here and play at a high-pressing game. But instead, they score that early goal, And you know how it goes. When you're a team that's not expected to win, you're on the road, you're playing against a quality opponent, you nailed it. This is the bar in terms of road games and tests. You score that early goal, it's natural to drop into that shell. You think we're going to ride this thing out and win 1-0. But instead, this is a learning moment for this squad, for Hartford. You have to stick to the game plan. Early goals, don't let them dictate the rest of the game, because you know a team like Charleston, we talked about it, the key to the game was to score goals. Coach wanted 5, right now they're sitting on 4.
Yeah.
They nailed it. So if you're Hartford, it's just a learning lesson for this group. Don't sit on a 1-0 lead. Stick to your game plan. Don't be afraid to keep pressing, and especially when you're playing against a good team like Charleston on the road, you just have to keep trying to take the game to them as best as you possibly can.
Yeah, Ben Pierman laughed. He goes, I don't know how Aaron Malloy at center back's going to work out. I don't think Aaron Malloy knows how Aaron Malloy at center back goes. This could be a 5-4 game. Hartford has played plenty of those. Pepper Law Firm corner kick coming. Ball angled across, soars into the air. Obalola got a touch to that, but did so illicitly by pushing into the back of the Battery player. So the fact that this is a 6-goal game, I think, is a surprise to nobody, per se, relative to all 6-goal games that can exist.
We'll talk about a player like Malloy sliding into that center back spot. If his coaches expected him, he might give up 4 goals. You're playing with house money.
Yeah, and I think there was an understanding. He made a good point about Malloy's dad saying, hey, go prove yourself again in that position. I don't think he necessarily expected to give up 4 so much as if that was the way the game was going to go, that's what it might take. And this Hartford team can score in bunches so quickly when they're at their best. Lofted in behind by Angelina, now at the feet of Garner. He'll claim that, jumps on the grenade. That could have been an issue.
And that's just something that we haven't seen from this Hartford team. That was the first time really since the beginning of the second half that we've seen numbers in the box for transitional ball and over the top. It's that good diagonal ball. This time they're able to get those runners in. Not able to redirect it onto frame. Garner doing a good job there, making the save, standing tall and jumping on it. But that's the Hartford that we've been seeing throughout the course of the season. That's the Hartford that won those 2 games, those back-to-back games over the last couple weeks. And that's a little bit more of what you want to see from this group in these moments of transition. It's this diagonal ball here, and it's the numbers in the box. This is what they've been lacking all game long.
Yeah, it was Beckford there. I saw 71 flashing at that near post. It was 71, not 11. So it was Edwards that started that initially. Garner using all his great CONCACAF-enabled skills to take an extra 3 seconds off the clock.
Every second counts.
Am I? Yeah, I feel like I'm jumping in the lion's mouth here. That feels like that's a CONCACAF thing.
It's a strategic play for the goalkeepers to give their team the time to
happens
step
a
up
lot
the field.
in CONCACAF, Jeff. I mean, watching Nahuel Guzman eat an extra minute of the game with those moments for Tigres over the years has primed me in a way for it that I don't know any other universe would have.
My favorite is when the goalkeeper puts his foot on the ball and dribbles it to the far corner of the box.
Yeah,
and makes the forward chase after it and picks it up from there.
You're a bad boy, Jeff Attinella.
You know?
It sounds like something you've done.
Nothing wrong with a little time wasting, legal time wasting.
Uh-huh.
But no, you're absolutely right. That is a CONCACAF staple.
Yeah, that's right. We go sprinting into stoppage time now. Fourth official has indicated 5 minutes of MUSC Health Sports Medicine stoppage time. Goal for Hartford the next minute or two could make this a chaotic conclusion. Charleston just trying to keep this out in front of them. Move within 3 points to the top of the East, pending other results here on the weekend. Hope to make up some ground as they are in the top 4 at the moment and will remain so through the weekend should they see this out. And then they can turn their attention to Tuesday night's game with DC United. Not that Christian Benteke would play, but he's been injured. Troy Lesane, the former New Mexico United manager, a couple of years now in D.C., knows the level of the championship quite well, and led New Mexico as an expansion team a number of years ago all the way to the quarterfinals of that competition. D.C. takes so much pride in the Open Cup historically. You know they'll be up for it, even with a likely mishmash lineup. The first round that MLS teams are in the tournament this year is the round of 32.
And something that we haven't mentioned with this Charleston team as well is the response from the loss against Naples.
Yeah, and you know, you listen to Ben Pierman and he goes, I can't use all the words that he used to describe it, but he boiled it down really to, we didn't deserve anything from that game, and we didn't get anything from that game.
Right, it was an effort. It was a lack of effort, and it was a lack of execution from a Charleston team that you're used to seeing is so steady. And you wonder how does a team respond after a moment like that, where they lose a game in a cup where they're eliminated, a game that they should win. And what do? They come out here, they have injuries, they're dealing with players in different positions and put on an extremely professional performance. They've handled their business. So there's no question mark in this team's ability to respond and what the measuring stick is for a team like Charleston this season.
And look, the upside, yeah, you lost to Naples, but you'll host Greenville, go to Tormenta, and host the Rowdies. So you'll play a Jägermeister Cup game the end of each of these 4 months. It's not out of reach yet. That's a tough way to start the group, but you are playing 2 more League One sides, and you should be able to get back on the right side of it.
But it's a good wake-up call.
No doubt.
It's a good wake-up call for this team. Sometimes in seasons, the way that Hartford's learning a lesson in terms of scoring that early goal, you need to learn lessons throughout the course of a season, and that's a lesson that Charleston has learned, that you just can't show up. Even though because you're the better team on paper, you can't just show up wearing the jersey and expect to get a result. And Naples taught them that lesson, and fortunately for Charleston, it's early in the season to learn something like that, so it's a reminder for them as the season goes on.
Well, and I've spoken with another coach. This is not Ben saying this. Speaking about going to Naples, and it's some turf that's had better days, and it was described to me as a fist fight in the middle of a rock fight. And if you're not up for that, you're going to pay a price for it. And Naples had everything to gain, and they got the job done. And, well, lesson learned, I think. Samadia got knocked down by Martinez. And at this point, we're edging on the point where it would be academic for Hartford to get one.
Just a little bit late there on the challenge. I didn't really see too much there, to be honest, but referee was right on top of it. You know, the way that this game's been so far, you just never know. One goal here, get one back, moment of chaos. You just never know the way this game's been so far.
Couple penalties, Olympico. We've gotten some kind of contest tonight. And is there any more drama to be added? Prodded into the box. No more drama. I think the drama's over. It's a goal kick that should take us right up to the line here tonight.
It's a good confidence-building game for Charleston as well. They have DC coming into the Open Cup, a game that you know that they're going to be up for. I was just extremely impressed by the way that they've been able to execute the plan. Really gave Hartford. I know that Hartford, they scored that early goal as a set piece. Their second goal was off of a penalty kick. But outside of that, they haven't had many opportunities. So just a really professional performance here from Charleston to get this win versus Hartford.
And Charleston comes from behind after conceding in just the 5th minute to take a 4-2 victory, move within 3 points of the top of the Eastern Conference against bottom of the table Hartford. And for the first time in the Brendan Burke era, they score first and fail to take any points on the occasion. Garner concedes twice but grabs his second win in net in 2 starts in the league over the past 2 years. Malloy does enough as a makeshift center back, and Juan David Torres has an incredible performance. Tonight's Fix It 24/7 man of the match is one of the easier decisions we've had to make.
Absolutely, and I mean, this was one of his goals here, the Olympico, but even look at this little cheeky ball here. It was goals, it was assists, a cheeky ball here, and this is a left foot that's going to be talked about because this left foot is going to be a problem for this season. For me, this is a golazo as well. He opens up that hip, hits it with power. Dance yourself away, young man. Just a nice night for him. 2 goals, 1 assist. No shortage of shots from distance, and just an incredible performance. And this is a name that you should be looking for USL Team of the Week.
The final score tonight is brought to you by the Pepper Law Firm. Charleston Battery, a 4-2 victory over Hartford. Saw some of the highlights. We'll show them all to you on the other side of the break.
What do you want? What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
Do you have a non-alcoholic beer that actually
tastes good? It's athletic. You're holding it.
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
I think you mean athletic.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
Return to the field. Score the winning shot. Beat your personal record. Team up with MUSC Health Sports Medicine for all your sports-related injury care and rehabilitation. MUSC Health is the official sports medicine provider for your favorite local teams. From semi-pro athletes to weekend warriors, our sports medicine team provides state-of-the-art injury prevention, treatment, surgery, and rehabilitation for athletes of all ages. Go where the pros go. Schedule an appointment today.
Charleston Battery grabbed the win here. Pepper Law Firm brings you tonight's final score, 4-2 over Hartford Athletic. Mike Watts and Jeff Antonella to wrap this one up as the Battery move 3 points off the top of the East, and Hartford unable to make up ground trying to catch up to the playoff line. Full-time highlights are presented by Publix. 5 minutes in, dream start.
It was Scarlett here on the corner kick, able to deal with this redirect, uses it off his chest. And at that moment, you thought Hartford was on to something, but then Charleston absolutely took this game over. Scarlett, the man that just scored this goal, drags down Myers in the box. Cal Jennings opens up his hip, as cool and calm as you could possibly like. His 6th goal of the season. And then from there, it was really just a dominant performance from Charleston, not giving Hartford the opportunity to get back into this game. And here he is, the man of the match. We thought that this was going to be the golazo for him in this one, but we see one a little bit later that's even more special. It's that first touch that set this up, opens up his hip, closes it as tight as he can. Nothing Siaha could do. He's leaning off balance because of that deception. And then again here in the 55th minute, look at this little cheeky ball here from Torres. I mean, it's into Landry. Close line, the outside back from Hartford keeps him on. But look at this ball, just that little cheek right over the top. And Landry's in the right place. Good timed run and extending that lead to 3-1. Give Hartford a little bit of credit here. They're able to draw this penalty kick. Ngola does a great job here with the stutter steps, opens his hips up. Not much the goalkeeper can do on this one. Back in this game, but it was only momentarily. Charleston with this response from the corner kick, and this is going to be up for goal of the week. It might be goal of the week. I don't want to call it too early, but this is Olympico Torres. Maybe that could be his nickname. Just bends it into that far post, and then from there it was just all Charleston to ride this game out and get this 4-2 win. As we get another look at the statistics here.
Full-time stats are presented by Gildan. In total, the shots and the possession pretty well tell the story of the game. Chance for your final thoughts tonight, Jeff?
Yeah, Hartford, we spoke about it during the broadcast. They just learned a lesson of what it's like to step up in talent a little bit and on these road games, and an extremely professional performance there from Charleston. They were up to the task. They have a big game against DC, so a good momentum builder. But credit Charleston, they took over this game tonight.
Charleston with a 4-2 victory. A reminder that the USL on CBS Sports Network kicks off May with the NorCal matchup, Oakland and Sacramento tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, over on CBS Sports Network. Hartford next will host Detroit next weekend. Charleston at DC United on Tuesday at Audi Field on Paramount+. For Jeff Antonella, our entire team, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching. Charleston wins it 4-2. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.
Anderson sends the service, knotted down, gets over the line. Hartford has grabbed the lead less than 5 minutes into the game. Anderson sends the service, knotted down, gets over the line. Hartford has grabbed the lead less than 5 minutes into the game. Could you have written that? Anderson sends the service, knotted down, gets over the line. Hartford has grabbed the lead less than 5 minutes into the game. Could you have written that any better? Anderson sends the service, knotted down, gets over the line. Hartford has grabbed the lead less than 5 minutes into the game. Anderson sends the service, knotted down, gets over the line. Hartford has grabbed the lead less than 5 minutes into the game. Could you have written that any better?